Hello, my name is Matthew Litzenberger. I'm a licensed real estate broker in the city of Chicago with Coldwell Banker. And welcome back to our second installment in our weekly series, How is the Chicago Real Estate Market? Let's get started. Just like last week, there are many real estate metrics that one could talk about. Here, we're just going to talk about a handful of them. Four of them: speed, demand, supply, and negotiations. Speed, demand, supply, and negotiations. Speed. Speed looks at market time. And what market time is a metric that helps gauge. It's kind of like a guide, a check engine light that helps one understand, are we properly priced or are we overpriced? My takeaway with market time is that if a listing surpasses average days on market, it's a check engine light that your listing may be overpriced. Demand. Demand looks at under contract and it helps answer the question in our current market, how many buyers are buying? It helps showcase the heartbeat of the market. Like what's happening. There are buyers with pre-approvals, but how many of them are purchasing properties? Since this is our second week, it's going to be interesting because we're going to be able to look back to our last week as a reference point. So January 1st to January 6th in the category of detached single saw 103 properties. In the second week, we saw 147 properties. So you can see that increase taking place. For attached single, we saw 115 properties go under contract in the first week. And in the second week, we saw 196 properties go under contract between January 7th and January 13th. I like keeping an eye on under contract and demand metrics because it showcases the level of interest that buyers have in properties. And also, too, are buyers having the ability to purchase this, as that's an ongoing conversation going forward. Supply. Supply is kind of like the opposite of demand. Demand looks at how many buyers are in the market. Supply looks at, well, how many sellers are trying to sell. So in the second week for detached single, let's call it 1,900 properties. And then for attached single, about 2,500. Additionally, months of inventory, homes for sale, new listings, and absorption rate are also other key metrics in the conversation of supply. So we just looked at one, but we could talk about it more another day. Negotiations. One of my favorite metrics, talked about it last week, percent of original list price received. This showcases the zone of possible agreement that sellers and buyers engage in to come to terms and do a deal. In the last year for detached single, there was about 97% of original list price received. In the month of December, it was 96. For attached single, it was 98 for the yearly average. And then for December, it was 96.5. Underneath here is the report that I referenced to for this data. This is a weekly market activity report from the Chicago Association of Realtors. This again looks at the whole entire city. If you are referencing this graph or in this report, what I recommend is if you're following weekly, to take a look at the last 3 months. This is going to give you a gauge of week by week what's happening. So this was the month of October, November, December, and then January. New listings, you can see is there's this uptick at the turn of the year. That's not unusual. Under contract is the one I'm interested to keep an eye on as the year goes by, to see how many buyers come back into the market. And furthermore, if you look here, 2021, 2022, 2023, you can kind of see that in 2021, a lot of under contract. And then 2022, a little bit less. And then 2023, that was the whole conversation, right? Interest rates are up. And now, with the thought process of interest rates going back down, well, we'll see. Only time will tell. If you want to find data that is more relevant to your local market, I got you covered. Up here in the top right, underneath How is the Market, you'll find the local market stats. And this is a resource I have for you that you can feel free to use. These are updated monthly, and you can just find the area that is of interest to you. And when you click on it, you'll find a PDF with data similar to the ones that we've gone over together. If you need something more specific or you have a question, feel free to reach out to me. My name is Matthew Litzenberger. It has been a pleasure, dare I say an honor. I'll see you guys on the next one.